Hello, and welcome to episode 56 of FPL Apprentice. And the boys are back in town, both looking gold and bronze after our November sun. Matt, welcome back to your pal. How was your trip?
Thank you, mate. Yeah, very good, very good. Perfectly timed, right? International break. Did
Yeah.
you get any questions from your partner? That it was pre-planned around
During the
international break?
international break, no, not really. We did get we landed in Turkey just as on the Saturday, so the United game was on, and although I'm not a United fan, having Bruno as a captain, I was like, Becky, oh, I've got to go to the bar, he's like, oh, United game's on. Anyway, didn't happen because we were on a sunbed. And then the guy just decides to, well, we'll come on to what he did when I look at my team. So it's a shame to miss it live in action. Probably not what you were asking me, Matt, but yeah, that's the only football question I got asked, by the way. Uh,
No.
what
I
about
mean,
you? Did you catch much?
uh, I think I caught the whole week, so I kind of went away on the Tuesday, right? So yeah, I didn't miss any of the Premier League from the last game week. But I do remember like messaging you. Obviously, I wasn't getting the double click because you were like still in the air. And, like, it was looking a really positive game week for you, even when you were
Early
flying.
doors.
Yeah.
Early doors. When I landed and I saw the points, I was like, yeah, this has started well. And it just carried on going.
I
Quite happy
bet,
to
I
bring
bet
it.
you've been itching. You've been itching, I bet, to kind
I've
of
been
like,
itching.
yeah,
Let's wait no longer. Let me bring up the team. But what I haven't said is obviously this is still the only podcast and series in which we delve into the mind of one of the greatest players to ever play the game, former world number one, Mr. Matthew Corbridge. If you're not following Matt on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, at FPL Corbs, make sure you do so. Um, but yeah, let's delve into the points. And for the first time in a while, we'll start with me because I had an absolute stormer, Matt. As you can see, game week rank 79,000. The big pro, my transfers. I had one transfer in the bank, had to move it. I had James Madison, who has just dropped out of favour ever since I bought him. I got away with it the week before when he came on and scored a free kick, but I just didn't see him start in the game. So I sold him. He didn't start, and he got a point. And the player I bought in was Bruno, who pulled in 17. So I was 16 points up on the transfer. If I didn't get Bruno in, I would have captained Haaland. Hence why he's got the vice captaincy. He got 5 points. Bruno, as I say, got 17. So I was 12 points on captaincy because of the transfer. So that one transfer made 28 points difference. I don't think I've ever had one transfer make 28 points in one game week. That was absolutely
wow.
mental. So yeah, and I've got to say thank you to you for that because you were talking last week when we were chatting about Bruno as a potential captaincy option, and prior to us recording, I hadn't really thought of it. I was pretty set on Haaland, or my differential would have been Cunha.
Yeah.
So big thank you to you.
No worries, mate. No worries. I think he's been really like the 3 or 4 games Van Nistelrooy was the manager. They just played him as that
Yeah,
advanced 10, right? Where he's kind of really awesome, right? So I think he's been kind of really good since going there. So I think bold move captain, but yeah, kind of really well deserved, mate. Got to embrace the
yeah.
embrace that.
I think
That's
I
like
think
30 points up with
I
what
think I
like
messaged you.
one
It
transfer.
was
Wow.
honestly 28, yeah, 28 difference, it's got to be the best ever. And I think I messaged because he had expected goal involvement data of 0.41, yet he got a goal and 2 assists. So I'll take it. I will take it. But the rest of the team still did all right. Fabianski, I went for Fabianski over Edison. I've got to
Yeah.
call out Kyrie Irving, now known as Kai on Twitter, long time listener of the pod. I put my team up fairly early because I knew I was going to be in the close to the deadline. And he just sent a GIF, or he put a GIF on my post, which was Fabianski just like warming up for a game. And I hadn't really thought about it, and I'd left Edison on the pitch, and that just triggered me to look at the fixtures. And I think Edison was away at Brighton, and I thought Brighton would probably score. Whereas Fabianski
Mm.
was at home to Everton. It's like, you know what? Thank you, Kai, because I made the
Yeah.
move and put Fabianski in. That's it. That was an 8 point difference. Uh, and then the rest of the week, Cunha, two returns, 12 points. His effective ownership near me was 15%, so that was a nice green arrow. Wissa with 2 goals, 13 points. His effective ownership was 8.2%. But yeah, the big difference, mate, Bruno Fernandes, his expected ownership for close to my rank was 8.3%. 17 points, and he was a
Wow.
captain. So yeah, big green from 1.06 million up to 353k. Takes me to 676 points total. So
That's a nice place to be. I reckon it might
yeah,
be time to dust out the old title of this pod
journey to
series, right?
10k. We're back.
I think
We are
you got a
back.
good chance now.
Let's keep
You got a good chance.
let's
No
keep this
excuses. You're
going.
in a good place.
Yeah, I'm happy. And I should have shouted when I was talking about the turkey trip. Big shout out to Thomas Jones. I sent him a picture of my beer. I got and just as we dropped off last time, I know me and you saw it, but we'd stopped recording. Thomas Jones gave us our very first ever super chat, which was really cool. So thank you, Thomas, for doing that. I had an eches on it on you. So thank you very much for that. Just thought I'd drop that in because I forgot.
No, it's fine.
Um,
No, that was very surprising, very humbling. We're very grateful. So yeah,
yeah,
thank you for that.
yeah. I mean, back to the team. The real cons, only two really that I could think of. Number one, Liverpool got a clean sheet, but unfortunately Trent got injured. But we'll talk a lot about Trent for obvious reasons during this podcast. And then the only other one, Salah continues to hurt. You know, not being a Salah owner, he pulled in 14 points. He just can't stop scoring double digits.
Yeah.
So he hurts your rank a little bit. But yeah, overall, mate, I can't complain about anything. I'll stop gloating now and pass over to you to look at your team.
Yeah, so I got a very small green arrow, so I've got to be relatively happy with that. And I did have a captaincy fail. So yeah, I mean that's cool. So I think, yeah, one of the big positives of my two transfers, right? I think like not as big of a swing as you, but I think I was net 24 points up, I think. So I got rid of Foden for Fernandez. Obviously that's up 15 points just there. Foden, I think, blanked again. Had some good underlying stats again, but yeah, kind of blanked again. And then got rid of Calvert-Lewin for Cunha. So yeah, obviously Cunha got 12 points. Somewhat fortunate, I think, but I think some of the logic to get Cunha in was when he does return, he tends to get quite greedy with the bonus points, right? So like it's one of these guys where he does one return where it's an assist or a goal and does hover up the bonus points. So a little bit of logic there, a little bit lucky with Cunha, but yeah, again that's a 10-point swing there. So yeah, kind of net up, yeah, 25 points. So I've got to be delighted. But this shows how competitive it is that you gain 25 points on your free transfers. I think I was only 2 points above my safety score, right? But that's the power of the kind of captaincy. So I captain, like the decision for me was like I really wanted to go with a Spurs player as captain, just because I really wanted to target these home fixtures against promoted sides. I think Spurs are doing all right from an attacking point of view. I went Solanke over Son just because I was a little bit more concerned of Son's minutes. I think there was a few comments in the week by the manager around him managing his minutes or managing like an issue after he returned from injury. So I thought Solanke was a more surefire thing minutes wise. Both of them played the whole match, but yeah, of course, both blanked, which I was like incredibly disappointed with. And it wasn't even bad luck; both were just really poor, as were Spurs more generally, right? But I mean, I could have captained Haaland, yeah, but that's like 5 points, so there's not much of a swing there. I don't think I would have gone for, like the logic for Fernandez. It's the same. He plays for like a average-ish upper average side in Man United. The same applies for Spurs, who are playing a promoted side, right? So I think it's like the same logic that for me going Solanke is the same that went for Fernandez. So I can't say that was like an
I'll tell
immediate.
you now. If Madison, I went for Madison. It was obvious
Yeah,
for me because Madison had stopped playing, right? But if I had gone for like a Johnson, or I had a Son, I'd have captained the Spurs player 100%.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Fernandez does. If I was like flipping it between Son, Solanke, Fernandez, I probably would. Well, I've got them all on my team, right? So yeah, I kind of went there. So I think it was a close call, but the same logic so can be applied for those guys that was applied for Fernandez. So a little bit swingy there, but yeah, they were both really poor. And yeah, defense like kind of Trent getting injured was a disappointment, of course, but I think it does open some pathways for me to get some interesting players going into next week. And then yeah, the kind of real killer for me was Salah, who I think in my rank was over 100% owned, and again like really good performance, but it was a very I think Villa gifted those goals to him.
We'll
Really,
take them. We
where
will take them.
but we've spoken about Villa for like a year now, like under their current setup, and like they play a very high line. So players like Salah, and I think didn't you go Son as a captain before against them? And kind of got a
Potentially.
big
But
haul last season, I think. So
yeah, and
they do
Tottenham have
play a
just
very
played
high
them right. They've
line
got 4
that
past them.
plays into like the
Mm.
hands of like counter attacking teams, and quick players. So yeah, like they almost gave him like 2 identical kind of goals. So it's like, especially like the one in the end, which was almost like a pointless kind of goal. It felt like inevitable that he was going to get a breakaway, but yeah, kind of well deserved points and haul by Salah. But yeah, he kind of really killed kind of my chance kind of game rank. But it was a green despite a captaincy fail. So like we move. But yeah, hey, you've got a healthy gap to me now, right? Over 50 points. So
Yeah.
you've got to keep
Oh,
on building
still
it,
about,
man. Yeah.
but you've still got to help me. You've got to get me to that 10k map, regardless of your rank.
Mate,
The
just don't
aim
do
is
anything stupid.
one of us gets there.
You just got to be careful
But
with
yeah,
the exotic moves you might have a tendency to try.
no. Just remind me when I talked to you about what did I do last season? I took out Son and Solanke for Darwin Nunes and somebody they're basically 2 awful players that weren't performing. Make sure I don't do anything like that again, please, Matt. That'd be very useful. Uh, but yeah, well, this is what it means for the mini league following the last game week. So with the 77 in the league, Arwen back on top. Has
Nice.
been there a few times. Jacob had taken over, but Arwen's back on top with 80 points for the game week, taking him to 730 in total. Arwen, just in case you're wondering, world rank of 15,000. So having
Nice.
a very strong
Yeah.
season, very
Nah.
strong. For the
Like,
out of the 77,
I think most of the top 3 or 4. I think they've all been up there most of the season, right?
uh,
So it's
yeah, the top 3 have all been top of our league. So yeah, they've all
yeah,
been there or thereabouts. From our standpoint, 77 in the league, as I say, you're 58th, Matt, but you did climb this week. I've managed to climb up to 20th.
yeah,
I'm
nice.
14 points off being on this table. So need to hopefully in a couple of weeks one of us I'll start to appear. But well done, Arwen. But yeah, for anybody listening that wants to join, there will be some form of gift or prize at the end. We haven't decided what that'll be yet. It might be a gift for you. It might be that you get to tell one of me or Matt what to do at some point next season. We'll work it out closer to the time. But to join, it is T27 ZGC. That's Tango 27 Zulu Golf. Charlie, get yourself in the league. So yeah, I thought we'd start properly, Matt, by looking at the informed players because we were texting about certain players that people are looking to sell and thinking, you know what, maybe it's not the time to sell them. The one on this table I'm thinking of specifically is Semenyo because I've had a lot of people looking to get him out and maybe upgrade him to an Anthony Gordon, or if they've got the money, maybe move in for a Bruno Fernandes. But the stats, backs the menu, and he's got some nice fixtures. Or Bournemouth rarely have some nice fixtures, so he's
Hmm.
been underperforming his stats. Should have scored 25 in the last 4 game weeks, only pulled out 15. Um, so yeah, wait. I mean, feel free to run through the rest of the table, mate. But you've got Semenyo in your team. Is he close to a sell?
I mean, it's just what I think. I can understand why. So he's not in Marcel. I think he's been doing well and has been unlucky, as proved by this table that you got. I can get why people are considering getting in because a lot of people moving flush with cash, right? They've sold Haaland. They're looking to get Salah, Fernandes, Palmer, all those big hitters, and Mbumo in the midfield. So I get it. If you want to go for a big midfield player, all those players are better moving forward than Semenyo, right? But he's not Marcel, and I think he works if you're going for a setup with a rotating final attacker. He fits in really nicely based on his price point, and for a fourth midfielder, you could do a lot worse. Bournemouth's run is pretty favourable, like long term. So he's far from a Marcel, but I get why people are considering exiting him. And then some people have a decision point on do they get rid of Rodgers or Semenyo? And Rodgers is like 0.5 mil cheaper as well. So I definitely get the logic. But like you said, he's not been bad Like again, like you can see quite stark here. So this table is like last 4 game weeks expected FPL points. This is based on the underlying shots and positions taken up, the actions within a game, according to Fix. I think you got these ones from Fantasy Football Fix, where kind of like obviously quite a lot of their stats and whatnot. So I think it's really useful where looking at this view versus points, which points is luck comes into play, right? So Semenyo versus Cunha is quite interesting. Expected points over the last 4 weeks based on what's happened in matches, pretty much identical. Yeah, Cunha has had double the amount of extra points, all right? So he's running both great picks, right? But Cunha's running a little bit hot. Semenyo's running very cold, right? So I think that logic there applies. And if we go up the table a little bit, mate, Haaland, that logic comes there, right? So last 4 game weeks, expected points of 31, give or take. His actual points is 15. That's probably one of the biggest underperformances I've seen. Wow. So someone who's historically slightly overperformed his underlying stats. Hey, it looks like he could be due, right? So I think that's.
How long do you give him? Because we've spoke about this for about 3 weeks. Because he's been underperforming since game week 6.
Yeah. But it's not a huge concern. It's just like kind of how does it fit in with your team structure? So like now is a very good time to jump off him, right? For Salah, Palmer, etc. But if you can't do that structurally, it's okay. It could be a really good thing, right? So yeah, it's an interesting table though. So like Salah is top, right? I thought based on like being biased as a non-owner, he was like being very, very lucky. But his underlying stats are the best by far. The last 4 game weeks, expected points of 37, actual points of 45. So running hot, but still really good. Obviously, that's skewed by the 2 penalties. I think he's had 2 within that period, right? So obviously, a penalty.
Wolves. Yeah, I should know as a Liverpool fan. I'll work that out.
There's definitely one. There was definitely one. I don't know if there was 2, but there's definitely one. So penalties can bias this. Like Fernandez is a beneficiary of a penalty in that kind of period as well. But yeah, like what we were saying, we've been saying like all this season and for lots of last season, when he's playing advanced as a 10, he's kind of really good asset, right? So he's run a little hot, but like it's been really, really good. Other people on the list, Isaac, Semenyo, Cunha, who spoke about them. Palmer's really low down, but Chelsea had a really tough run. I'm surprised at the last name, Murillo,
I
from
know. Yeah.
Forest, right?
Defender on the table.
That's quite So expected points over the last 4, 22, and he's got 23 points, right? So that's kind of really interesting one. But I think it's the underperformers which are interesting on these things for me all the time, right? So Haaland, Semenyo, they kind of stand out as like, and to and then Palmer to a lesser extent is like, just because you underperformed, it doesn't mean you're out overperforming in the next period, right? But it is interesting that biases around points could be like highlighted through this sort of like view and lens.
I just noticed that we're both junior owners, and he's obviously on the table. He's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth. So it's 6th for expected points. Expected goals 0.39. That is less than Murillo, who's a defender, Nottingham Forest. So it's clearly the assist that game that he's playing.
Yeah,
interesting. He's 2 goals from expected 0.39.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about small sample sizes here, aren't we? You've got to kind of caveat that all the time. And he is an attacker on penalties as well, so he hasn't benefited from a penalty, whereas other people on this list have. So
true. So I've looked. Salah had one against Chelsea and then Wolves, but Wolves was just over 4 game weeks ago. But Bruno's had a pen in that time. I don't. Has Haaland had one, but it might have been in the Champions League and he missed it.
He hasn't had a Premier League one. No, he hasn't had a Premier League one. I don't think so.
This is what I'd love, right? And we'll come on to our teams. I'm looking at the Brighton fixtures, and they look great. But Cunha, who I've got up front, and Wissa, who I've got up front, have some nice fixtures as well. I'd love to sell Haaland for Pedro or Welbeck. That expected goal data in the last 4 game weeks, 5.59, is way ahead of everybody else in the league. Surely it's only a matter of time, mate. Surely.
Yeah, well,
But yeah,
De Bruyne is back now as well, which makes you would imagine would make a big difference, and you would imagine he's gonna start being needed in pretty quickly because they would need it. But we'll talk about De Bruyne like late though, I think. But yeah, well, his stats have been fine. It's just he's been unlucky, right? And like if you think he's
yeah,
suddenly turned into a bad finisher, then fine. But like I think a lot of people would challenge that assumption. It's not been like he's not
yeah,
been getting kind of chances, which would be a kind of would be worried. But yeah, the logically talk about that jumping from Haaland to a João Pedro, yeah, is very appealing. I get it. I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it.
Yeah. We'll see if I do it. Leave you on edge.
Mm.
Or we will jump onto the fixture ticker because this is game week 12. So this is the one that we've been talking about most of the season
Yeah,
about how there's a real swing in terms of teams that jump from lower down on the fixture ticker right to the top.
yeah,
The big ones that stand out for me here, players that I'd consider Wolves. I want to ask you on Wolves, the 19th in the table, but the top of the fixture ticker. I know you've got Cunha in. Do you think one's enough, or would you consider a second?
yeah. I know would be good as well, right? So I think yeah, kind of two would be good. I think the position is just artificial, right? They had by far the worst 10 opening fixtures, right? So I think it's one of these things, when people, a lot of teams sack managers after they've had an awful fixture run, and then like a new manager comes in just whilst the fixtures go through a huge swing, right? So I think they haven't been
Yeah,
like a terrible team. I think it's just been they've played all the big teams and have had very minimal games that you'd expect them to win on paper. That's a really nice run. So I think someone like a forward and an 8 Nori, I think he's probably I know he's a bit more expensive now. He's probably one of the pick of the 4.5s now, looking at those fixtures.
yeah, yeah. No, I'd agree. No, I'd agree. Brighton also jumped up, and I think
Hmm.
their defense hasn't looked great. They've conceded at least 2 in 5 of the last 7. They're not really keeping clean sheets. But from an attacking point of view, Welbeck's having the season of his life, and Pedro's back. And those fixtures again, those next 6 look incredible. So,
Yeah.
would you look at Brighton defense or just stick with those attackers?
Fixture dependent. There's some good 4.5s there, right? So I think there's very accessible teams to get into if you want to do a bit of a kind of like defender rotation. Obviously the attackers are more appealing, notably Matoma and yeah, especially João Pedro.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Um,
you're keen on Pedro, and you're a bit disappointed he got his goal and assist just because he comes back on other people's radars, which
yeah,
is a
I
shame.
think
Is
for some
20,
people, if they
25?
don't have any flights, it's an easy jump. Well, I think it might be a week too soon. Like 13 is the optimal spot to jump on and off on him. But
Yeah,
yeah, it'd be nice for him to be under the radar a little bit more because I don't think I can get him this game week and maybe not game week 13 either.
yeah, to
I
give him
can't
some
believe
more
like
hope.
listen, why we talk about expected points and overperformance, underperformance, but then look at fixtures, right? Proving point was like Chris Wood. Loads of people brought in Chris Wood last game week, so the one that's just happened, just when his fixture's gone incredibly bad. Like
Yeah,
like the past points aren't a really good prediction of what's going to happen moving forward, right? So that was a crazy move. Like we explained why, like we did a striker analysis, right? And like we both landed on,
we did.
hey, Cunha is probably the best bet. And he's been unlucky, but like, look, every week for the next 6+ we'll be really happy owning Cunha. Yeah, people want Chris Wood
Yeah, yeah.
because
It was,
they thought his overperformance, decent performance, but slight overperformance, like for the first 10 games, was just going to continue even when there was bad fixtures. Now there's Arsenal
and you
next.
forgot Arsenal. Yeah, I can't say
Um,
can't. Well, you wouldn't imagine they're gonna score many past Arsenal. They need to, although they've not hardly been playing well, but they are now up near the top of the fixture ticker as well in 4th place. We both have one defender in Gabriel. Is it time to go back to at least 2 Arsenal players?
I would say so. I'd say the teams I'm most interested here, like kind of Wolves, like accessible teams, right, in terms of cheaper price points. So yeah, Wolves and Brighton, just 'cause the sheer quality of their fixture runs, but also they have some good players. at very cheap, accessible price points throughout their team. So they're both interesting. And then like the teams then like that are better, that are of interest. Arsenal, of course, right? So I think it's 2 or 3 Arsenal players for sure. Probably yeah. I like a bit of Chelsea, Newcastle. Newcastle could be appealing. So yeah, it's those teams in terms of like more premium players are kind of super interesting.
Yeah, get that. And then just on the last point on this, spoke about Semenyo being near the top of the fixtures in terms of form. Sorry, near the top of the form. Bournemouth are also 5th on the fixture ticker, so he's got some nice fixtures coming up at those next 6. I'd sell Rodgers over the 2.
I mean, like the thing there is like that they probably have quite a nice. They rotate
apart from maybe game week 6
with each other. Like I mean, Rodgers got some nice fixtures as well, really. So I mean,
yeah,
I won't be desperate to get rid of them.
Not in a rush to sell either. It's a
notable
trend
team.
time. That's what it is.
Yeah. A notable team not on here are Liverpool, right? Who I think they've got a mixed run. Like I wouldn't say it's the worst run, but it's a mixed run, right? So yeah, kind of like if you're purely going for fixtures, it would be like a little bit of caution if you're looking to bring in a Liverpool player, I think.
Well, perfectly timed this because we're going to touch on people that we can use as a Trent replacements. Now, Liverpool, the news coming out of Liverpool and all the rumours, and the reason that me and you might be thinking of selling Trent is the injury is not as bad as first feared, so that's good news. But Liverpool have Southampton this weekend. The rumour is Trent will be rested for that game and they'll play Bradley.
Yeah,
because after that, they've got Real Madrid.
Yep.
Then they've got Man City. Then they've got Newcastle. Then they've got Everton. So much bigger fixtures ahead. Now, for me, and I don't know whether this is why you're thinking of selling him, I'm like, well, I want him for the Southampton fixture. Well, he's not going to play, so that's pointless. I just see playing Man City, then away at Newcastle, then away at Everton, and then 2 weeks later away at Tottenham. Seems a good time to redistribute that money somewhere.
No, for sure. And it's like, the prime fixture is that Southampton. It was the fixture last week, and then the Southampton fixture. So it seems like a really good time to jump off with those fixtures. And I say that I appreciate this quite niche topic. We both own Trent, so that's why we're talking about it. So if you're not interested in Trent, just view this as a wider defender
replacements.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's a good point with like the Champions League rotation as well. I think some other options as well. I will keep that in mind, right? So a player that I don't own at the moment, jumping onto midfielders, is Palmer, right? The appeal for him is he isn't in the Europa League squad at all for Chelsea, right? So he'll be rested all the time. Someone like Isak has got that appeal, right, over players like Watkins, because this peak European fixture kind of period, you'd imagine he's not going to be playing. So I think that should come into the thinking. Yeah, mate, your Trent replacements here, do you want to go through them and your logic?
Yeah, we will talk out others as well. But the one I'm looking at, I've looked at the fixture ticker, I've seen Wolves at the top, and you're right. I've looked at the Wolves statistics, and Aït-Nouri is head and shoulders above the rest. Those next 4 fixtures, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, West Ham away, are reasonable. He seems to be getting forward a lot. He is overperforming from a goal point of view. So expected goal involvement data of 2.96. Yeah, he's got 5 returns. But 4.7, that saves me £2.4 million to then go and do something nice somewhere else with it. So yeah, thoughts on Aït-Nouri?
Yeah, I'm a fan. It's just one of those ones where you don't want to be a second defender, right? If he's your third or rotating fourth, then it's cool. But you don't want to be. I think you could do a lot worse there.
Yeah, it'd be a rotator, but the problem is it'd be a rotator with 2 others.
Okay, well,
the other one's a bench option.
That can work.
Good. Another one that is really interesting, would given that Arsenal are up to 4th on the fixture ticker, and not having the best time of late, but historically have the best defence in the league. I put Gabriel. Now we both have Gabriel, but I put Gabriel on because if you haven't got an Arsenal defender, and you've got a Raya instead, and you're looking to double up, Gabriel is by far the better option than Saliba.
Yeah.
I'll give you some stats on it. So he has 0.1 million extra, but for that 0.1 million, have a look at expected goal involvement data. 2.49 for Gabriel. Saliba, 0.42, and that's all in assists. He's had nothing in terms of shots on goal. The expected points data, 50.61 for Gabriel. It's 33 for Saliba, 17 points less.
Yeah.
So Gabriel's head and shoulders above. But is there an opportunity here if you've already got Gabriel, mate? Double up, get both.
Yeah, I mean that's probably transparent. That's probably where I'm closest to that. But I don't love Saliba as an option, but I do have faith in the Arsenal defense, especially with their team getting kind of close to kind of like the starting 11 a few injuries back. So yeah, I like Gabriel and Saliba as options. Are there any other premium options that you would be eyeing up? Van Dijk,
So I've
Robertson?
noted other Liverpool defenders because
Yeah.
they've got the most clean sheets this season. Only expected goal conceded per 90 of 1.04. Not too bad. But it's the fixtures for me, mate. You know,
Yeah.
Southampton away, fine, but then following that, as we mentioned before, Man City, Newcastle away, Everton away, which is a derby. They've then got Fulham, who Fulham have
Yeah.
been scoring goals, and then they're away at Tottenham. So to be honest, I'll probably stay away.
I agree. I think they're the standout premium defense going into Arsenal. I think, yeah, agree. And then you've got a few other.
The City fixtures are even worse than the Liverpool ones.
No, exactly. Plus, it's a bit of a minefield of who to go for there, right? So yeah, I agree. It's like probably Arsenal or no one if you're going for a defense from a top team. Then you got two cheaper options in Leif Davis and Diego Dallo. So what's the thinking there?
So Davies again, Ipswich are near the top of that ticker. Where are they on it? The third. So those fixtures: Man United, Forest away, Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves. So those next 5 fixtures look pretty solid. And he's on free kicks. The guy's on corners. I'll be honest, if I got him in, I'd be expecting absolutely zero in the return of a clean sheet. But he can pick up assists and he's got a goal this season as well, right? So
No,
it was mainly the attacking threat.
He's their winger, and essentially, what's interesting there is if you compare him to Aid Nori, I'd naturally like lean towards Aid Nori, but I'm looking at the fixtures, and then Davies have so many more home fixtures versus kind of Wolves.
3 in the next 4.
So
right, I didn't clock though. Ideally, game week 14 when they've got Palace at home, would be better. You know, that United fixture and the Forest fixture don't fill me with any joy, but Palace and
no, I agree.
Bournemouth at home a
Agree.
little bit better. And Dallo, I don't know why Dallo's on there because I'm not really considering him. The next 2 are nice, Ipswich and Everton, but then their fixtures turn, so it'd be very much a short term thing for Dallo. The only other team I consider, mate, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Fixture wise, Leicester, Villa at home, Southampton, Brentford, Everton, all in the next 6. And their defence, Liverpool, I said, expected goals conceded per 90 of 1.04. Chelsea is worse than that, but it's only 1.46, so it's not horrific. And they've got a really nice fixture run. Is there any Chelsea?
No, they've been very good. Like, I think it's just who you go for, right? So Gusto would be the best bet, but then is it James? Will James kind of coming back be an issue? Colwill is probably the most reliable starter, but doesn't really inspire in terms of any attacking threat at all, or bonus kind of like potential for bonus. So I do think the Chelsea assets are kind of viable options here. I think there's probably 2 other players like from teams. So if you go back onto your ticker, mate, Villa are there, Newcastle there with nice runs, like especially Newcastle. But there's kind of both teams have 1 or 2 dodgy fixtures in the next 6. The rest are fine. You could start a player. So I think Hall is a really nice option, very cheap option actually from Newcastle. So kind of Lewis Hall, he started like pretty much all the last 6, 7, 8. So he's their starting player, right? Kind of like left back now. And Villa, Luca Dean has been put in some really nice,
Dean, aren't you?
really
You're going
nice
to bring in Dean.
really nice numbers. I mean, like obviously, lots of people have had history with him, like myself included, and he'll inevitably get dropped, right? If you do bring him in, but he's been playing every week, and he has been
Yeah.
putting in some really nice numbers together,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, the issue with Villa is that Champions League rotation that we mentioned for some of the other teams, right? So, yeah, I'd be a bit cautious with Dean around his kind of minutes, but he's an interesting option. So I'd add Hall and Luca Dean into that in terms of that
No, I
conversation
get
as well.
Dean.
And they're
I
both
think
cheap,
when we spoke,
both cheap.
yeah, yeah, I think Dean's 4.7 if I'm not mistaken. But I think when we spoke, he was the second top performing from expected points defender when we spoke maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So still delivering the numbers. Just to help the conversation, I thought I'd put in the expected points for defenders in the next 6 game weeks. Not surprising to see Arsenal, Liverpool players
Yep.
at the top. And then you mentioned Hall, Shah's on there as well. So clearly Newcastle are an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then Robinson sneaks in, Fulham, and it's an interesting one. I mean, the fixtures don't look great for Fulham, but I've been looking at the expected goals conceded data as I say, Liverpool 1.04, Fulham are third,
No,
Arsenal. I think Arsenal was second, Liverpool first, Arsenal second. I'm pretty sure Fulham were third. They were third or fourth anyway. That shocked me.
no, I agree. Yeah, no, they've been very good, low key, very very good. So like I think yeah, Robinson can be added to that list. So yeah, there's a wealth of options really to defenders.
From the sounds of it, you've got Gabriel. You're leaning towards Saliba. You say,
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Just because like the difference in price to a Hall is quite. I need to get some defenders anyway, like because Trent isn't going to play, and
yeah,
I've got Rico Lewis as well. Then I've got an injured player for Ipswich, and I've got Van der Berg from Brentford, who I don't really want to be playing, right?
yeah,
So I just need a reliable defender, right? So like I think I'd feel a lot more happier having two Arsenal there, kind of every
yeah,
every every kind of like week. And I think I brought in the two Arsenal boys for game week 6 wildcard, and they didn't do anything. And Saliba got a red card and stuff, but they were very unlucky. They were
yeah,
they were
absolutely.
like they they should have kept like 2 or 3 clean sheets in a 4-week kind of window. So I think there's enough there to suggest that hey, that defense is still kind of very very good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't really do any much extra with the money because if I went Hall, like he was like 4.3, right? 4.4, he's gone up in price. Was that's a big saving. I can't really do that much extra with it at this stage, right? Like if I want to do
yeah.
some radical changes, I'll just move Haaland to João Pedro, then I'll just have near enough unlimited
It's not.
funds.
Yeah, yeah. As much as you want to spend. No, I get
Uh,
that.
what about you?
I get.
What are you thinking in terms of defender moves?
Um, I think I can do a bit more with the money if I get a cheap player. So ain't Nori's probably top of my list,
Yeah,
but it allows me to then move if I wanted to Wissa onto Isaac
yeah, that's
or
good.
something
Yeah,
along those sort of lines.
I mean,
Is
that's enough. That's enough in its that's enough in its own right to probably do that sort of move.
Yeah, it gives me options there. Or if I want to bring Saka back, it allows me a potential route into him, but that means selling Mbumo over Wissa, which I don't feel as comfortable about, to be
No,
honest.
no, I get it. But
Yeah,
both are good moves. Both are worth that difference. I think if you compare the two players, like my front line, I've got Solanke is like the second strike, so I'm quite very happy kind of keeping
yeah,
him. But yeah, this I get moving one of him or Mbumo along.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
That's where I'm leaning.
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. We'll touch on it. But I thought as we were looking at the expected points of defenders, whilst we're there, let's look at the expected points of every player in the game over the
Uh,
next 6 game weeks. And
I,
interestingly,
I
Cole
like it.
Palmer's top for the first time this season, I believe. It's
Yeah,
usually
well,
Haaland or Salah.
I mean, probably not too surprising. A couple of quiet game weeks when he had like very tough fixtures, and again, I'd rather have him in my team, but you've got to question the logic of why people were rushing to bring him in when he had like a really tough
Yeah.
run of 3 or 4 fixtures. I mean, I would have preferred having him in because I was blocked from him because I went for Son with that infamous leak that wasn't a leak It was just that didn't work out.
Are we not
Anyway,
told to everybody that we're the newest members of the cartel? We should maybe we should keep that to ourselves.
yeah, it didn't work out anyway. So
No,
it's better not to receive that info. But Evan Rush Palmer obviously didn't do amazing underlying stats, not amazing, and it's because he was playing very, very tough teams, right? But now, really nice kind of run. I'm not surprised to see him top, and kind of reassuring because I'm probably leaning towards bringing him in as a Son replacement. So that's kind of good to see. What you're seeing here though is like there's 3 super premiums at the moment in Palmer, Haaland, and Salah are way above everyone else, and then there's a big gap. I think a lot of people are putting Saka in that premium bracket as well, right? But I know he's cheaper, right? But it's not like night and day between him and Palmer price point wise. There's a big difference. There's like over the next 6 game weeks, yeah, there's a 9-point expected difference between Saka and Palmer. So that's a big swing, right? And then some of the other options there, Isak, Watkins will do well, no doubt. And Bumo is still there. Jackson, I like as a cheap midfielder, yeah. But what stands out there is just the sheer value offered by those big 3 players there in Palmer, Haaland, and Salah. And obviously another thing that stands out is the Salah Haaland, is a lot more expensive than the other ones, right? So why is it optimal to have Salah, Palmer, Saka over Haaland, and guess just 1 or 2 of those midfielders? Probably yes, but who knows what will happen with conversion and actual points and points. So I think it's interesting seeing this. I think your visit to Isak move looks a bit justified here. But you'd need to make it this week.
And and that's it. The problem is doing it this week. It cost me 4 points. So I don't think it's a move I can probably do it in all honesty. I think Saka's underplayed on this, by the way. That 3.1 points should be higher, but he's got an amber on the game, so I think they're considering that he wouldn't make it. And it'd be the same for Mbumo on 2 points there as well, away at Everton. Also on an amber.
Good point.
My team look mental. When you'll see it on in 3 pages time. I've got a lot of ambers, but I'm hoping they're just international injuries. But yeah, I'd love to get Isak in, but the only way I can do it is without taking a hit is Haaland down, which I don't really want to do because Haaland could easily score.
Probably not the week to do it.
No, it's not. He could score 2 or 3 against Tottenham, no question about it. De Bruyne's back, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there. And I don't think it's worth a 4 point hit because Wissa's got Everton, so he could score as well. So I don't.
No, it's not. You're right.
It's the downside to have a 1 free transfer, mate. Limits my options.
No, it's interesting looking at this. So I think what I'm seeing here is, and this was my guess before looking at these expected points from Fix, is that Palmer is the absolute essential the next kind of round, and more so than Salah. And I think this kind of justifies that. Haaland and Salah are both very, very nice to have.
Yeah.
But remain at nice to have. Haaland, if you're getting rid of him, there's a nice João Pedro switch in game week 13.
Yeah. Then it's what you do with the extra cash.
Yeah, I've just I've got Son. Personally, looking at my team, I've obviously got to get rid of Son. He's well down on the table versus his price point, and you can see that's that difference between his expected points. The next 3 and Palmer's start 3.6 versus 6.9, 5.1 versus 7.8, 4.6 versus 7.4. So just go and make, even for a hit, it'd be probably worth doing.
Even then, as I say, every game in the next 6, Palmer's expected to get more points. Every single one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be able to do it for free, but it'd be worth doing, considering that for a hit. Just the start difference.
Yeah, get it. But yeah, there you go. They're the big hitters now. Haaland. Let's move on to captaincy options because he is back to top of the ticker. He hasn't been there for a couple of weeks, but back to it now. Expected points of 8.4 for the particular round at home to Tottenham. It surprised me, mate, because like of all the defenses of the top five, so just for anybody that's listening rather than watching this on YouTube, the top five players for expected points: Haaland 8.4, Salah 7.6, Isaac 6.9, Palmer 6.8, and then Kevin De Bruyne makes the table with 5.5. The Tottenham defense compared to who Salah, Isaac, and Palmer are playing, who are Southampton, West Ham, and Leicester in that order, are much better from an expected goals conceded per 90 point of view, only 1.16, which I think is fifth behind Fulham. Whereas Southampton expected goals conceded per 90, 2.17. And I looked at home, by the way, I compared them home and away, and there's nothing in it. Absolutely nothing in it for Southampton. So like I know neither of us have Salah, so we might go Haaland as captain as proxy. If you had Salah, who would you captain?
Yeah, probably Salah. I think those expected points for Haaland seem a little bit hot. I'd probably go Salah just because the Southampton factor. If and when I bring in Palmer, I'd probably be considering him to be very close with Haaland.
Yeah. So which would you? So if you bought him in, you have Palmer in your team now, Matt. Who are you captaining? Haaland or Palmer? I'm not going to hold you to it, by the way.
No, I'd probably say Palmer at this moment in time.
Away at Leicester, who are expected to concede more than 2 goals per game as well. The only other one that's not on the list, mate, that I think is worth touching on, and I would say this because he got me an absolute monster haul last round, is Bruno Fernandes, right?
Yeah.
We saw on the table before in terms of form, he is the second best player over the last 4 game weeks. He's playing an Ipswich side who have a worse defence than Southampton, expected to concede 2.4 per 90. And he, in the last 4 fixtures, has been expected to be involved in 4 goals or just over 4 goals. Is he worth picking over Haaland?
No.
No, not this one. Not this time round.
Yeah, not.
He's away though. He is away.
Not this time. Also, it's a different. The new manager's in, right? So it's not a guarantee that he's going to play in that preferred position.
So in order, then what I'm hearing here is Salah if you've got him. If you don't, you go for Palmer. If you don't have either, you go for Haaland. If you don't have any of the three, you sit behind your couch and pray.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think, I'd put Salah as the top option. Yeah, Haaland and Palmer, I say, like super equal at this moment in time.
Yeah,
really hard to draw. Between them.
Yeah. There you go. Salah if you've got him, and if you like me and Matt, you haven't, Haaland or Palmer, because we'll both no doubt end up with both of those coming into the game week. Time to do Matt versus Dave. Now, after the big hype of the last game week, and we were both thinking, you know what, there'll be some points here because we've been getting double-digit returns on this game all season. We had by far the worst we have ever had, and you scraped it by a point, mate. 4 points to 3 because Rashford got subbed off in the 57th minute, which meant he got 1 point. Kulusevski got 2. I got 3 overall. Strand Larson and Hodgland for you, 2 points each, 4 points in total. So well done, Matt. That takes you to a 5-4 lead so far this season. Who do you want to thank? Strand Larson?
Yeah, it feels a bit hollow, doesn't
it? Take all the wins you can get in this game. But yeah, well done. I'll blame Van Nistelrooy for that early substitution. But I do get to go first this week. And I found it weird this week. It was 1 difficult, but 2 there's some interesting options. But I'm leaning towards a player that's been playing a lot of games and is playing a weak defence. My first one's Evan Nielsen, 1.7% owned. I mentioned before Brighton have conceded at least 2 in 5 of their last 7 games, and Evan Nielsen's getting in the goals. He's got 4 goals and an assist in his last 6, so he's getting returns. So for that reason, I will go Evan Nielsen as my first pick.
Yeah, nice. I think he's a solid option. There's a couple of names that return from injuries that I think won't normally appear. So I think when you do, and they've got a decent fixture, embrace it. So yeah, I'm going to go Martin Ødegaard, who's around 3% owned. So he's got some minutes. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll play, and I wouldn't be surprised him to get a return. Right? Well,
No, absolutely.
Players, right? Because we think they get a return. So stating the obvious there, but yeah, I think it won't be long before we can't pick him. So yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. He'll be above 5%, and he probably next week. But he played really well against Chelsea.
Yeah,
got an assist in that game, I believe. So he's already got an attack and return under his belt. So yeah, I like it. There's another one in that bracket just back from injury, isn't there? I'm not going to pick him. So I'll leave you to maybe pick that individual. I'm going to take a gamble, mate. I want a bit of fun. And I'm going to pick an old favourite from last season and trust my Liverpool players and go for Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, okay.
He's 2.5% owned. Southampton's defence is horrific. There's a reason they're bottom of the league. He started the last 4. And in his last of the 5 starts he's had, he's scored in 3 of them. So I'm going to take a gamble because it might be that we go Gakpo, Diaz, and Salah because they did that in Europe and Diaz got a hat trick. But I'm going to trust Núñez gets the start. So yeah, Darwin Núñez for me.
Has he had minutes in the international break?
No, I think if we're going to do it, we'll play Diaz as a central striker against Madrid. That's what I think will end up happening. So Núñez gets the Premier League.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, sorry, you said international break. I've no idea. I've not followed Uruguay enough to know.
I mean, same point though, isn't it? Like either Diaz or Darwin is going to be tired, and Gakpo can only cover for one of them. So he's going to get 30 minutes anyway, regardless. So I
considered Gakpo. I thought after the international break, Slot always plays Gakpo, or he has done the 2 international breaks he's managed the club. But his dad, like for a Liverpool fan, I'm looking at Gakpo thinking this guy scores goals, so he's always involved. The stats don't say he is.
No,
Shocks me.
He's not very good.
He's just less. He's less involved than I think he is. So I'm dodging him.
No, I like it. Yeah, you've hinted who I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for De Bruyne. So smallest of minutes last week, but I think after international break, I think personally he will start and needs to start. And yeah, Spurs could be a right fixture for him to get returns. And again, when he's fit and starting, he's not going to appear under 5% ownership often. So yeah, similar to Ødegaard, I'm going to embrace it.
Yeah, nice. Who would have thought, Matt, last season doing this under 5% differentials in a game week? You could have had Kevin De Bruyne and Martin Ødegaard as your 2 players.
Who have you decided to go for?
Evan Nielsen and Darwin Núñez. Yeah, 6-4 to you, Matt. Then, yeah, that's how we'll go. That's how we'll go when we train next week. I'm trusting Núñez. Come on, Darwin. Hat trick, Darwin. But we'll see next week. We will see next week.
I'm surprised you didn't go Ødegaard. Like you love an Arsenal pick. You love a Martinelli.
I do what it was. He was. I showed you when we were chatting offline. He was my second. And I just like players that have been playing minutes, and Evan Nielsen has been, and Brighton's defence looks poor. So he just edged it for me. Just edged it as that first pick. If I had gone Ødegaard, would you have picked Evan Nielsen as your pick? Or gone KDB? Both. Then you'd have got Núñez. I could have had both. That's the gamble. That is the gamble. But anyway, we'll move on. Game week 12, and jump on. Your team is first up. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's got a couple of problems. Trent's injury being the main one, but it does open interesting options to get a good midfielder. My team at the moment is lacking Salah, Saka, and Palmer, like all big issues. So I was going to bring at least 1 or 2 of them in this game week all the time, but that was always the plan. Trent being injured means I can free up a lot of cash in defence rather than getting rid of Haaland, which is pretty nice. So yeah, likely moves with my 2 free transfers will be Trent down to probably Saliba. There are a few other defenders we mentioned kind of today as well that could be consideration. I'll play a few like scenarios in terms of impacts down the line. But yeah, I'm thinking probably Saliba in, and then Son moving to Parma, and maybe captain Palmer, maybe keep the kind of armband on Haaland. Then I'll have a few other little edge cases to kind of consider. Who do I bench out of Semenyo, Rogers, and Solanke? Right, Solanke is playing City away. Like obviously that's the notable one. That whereas Semenyo and Rogers are home against Palace and Brighton respectively. So I could well bench Solanke. Actually, it seems a bit mad doing it, but I think it would be a good opportunity to do it. Then defenders, I've got Lewis, who doesn't have a great fixture from a defensive point of view, home at Spurs, and also is a minutes risk. Then I've got Van der Berg and Greaves is still injured, so I've got a decision to make: do I start Van der Berg or play Lewis? I'd probably just run the risk with Lewis. So looks like to summarize, Trent to Saliba and Son to Palmer, then potentially captain.
These are the weeks you like,
Palmer.
though. You know, you've always said the weeks you like are the weeks where the pick or the transfer is obvious.
Well,
I feel like
I mean,
this
there's a
one
few
is
options.
a little
There are a few options though. Like I could do a -4 to get rid of Lewis. I could move Trent down to Lewis Hall and then bring in Salah for Son.
yeah,
So I think there's a bit of doubts there, but like I think it is kind of picking itself for me, and then it's just me around who do I bench as my final attacker, and then do I play Lewis
yeah,
or Van den Berg? So I think it's a relatively Trent's injuries like solved me an issue because otherwise I'd have gone into this game week Haaland down to Isaac or João Pedro, and then doing a -4 for Palmer and Saka. So it's kind of helped me in a way.
yeah. Good timing, Trent. He did it just for you.
Yeah,
That's what he did it.
could have done it after 60 minutes. That would have been
Even better rather
better.
than 20 minutes. I think I'm in a similar spot to you, to be honest with you, mate. I've only got one free transfer. That's the main
Yep.
difference. So it limits me a little bit. But
Yep.
yeah, Trent for me is a sell. As I said before, not going to play that Saints game, or looks very unlikely to play the Saints game. And then the following fixtures, the next two are poor. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want him. I could just play Van der Berg. But again, not a massive fan of the Brentford defence, so I'll probably sell Trent. And I'm leaning towards, for a longer term pick, Ain't Nori, because as I say, it then just gives me some money in the bank to move Wissa onto somebody at some point, like an Isaac. But in terms of that front eight, I've got the same headache. Who do I bench? Semenyo's on there at the minute, but I've waxed lyrical about how much I absolutely do not rate the Brighton defence. So I'll probably play Semenyo. But I think who do I bench? Just because I've got two of them, I might end up benching Wissa, even though he got me a brace last week. Because I've got two Brentford players. So if Brentford have an off day against Everton, that's 2 points for two players though. So I might just hedge my bets and bench one of them.
I think I'd
And it'll
do
probably be worth
Rogers
extra
or
than Villa's on
Semenyo.
the pen.
Yeah, I'd go
You think?
Rogers.
You think you play Wissa?
Yeah, I'd play Visa. I'd
What I
play
like
him.
about Rodgers this week, when people sign new contracts, they always go and score. He's just signed the contract.
Fair enough.
And I'm reading the news. I'm reading the newspaper already on Sunday morning or whatever day he plays the morning after about new contract, new goal or something.
No, fair.
So yeah, I don't know. I might end up.
On your move, I would say. I know Brentford haven't kept a clean sheet yet, but they are playing Everton. I would say Wolves have a tougher fixture defensively.
Yeah, they do.
And obviously, if you're rolling a free, you're not really getting any gain this week, really. Like I know he may score a brace, like who knows? But I think on the face of it now, you're not getting much gain over what Van den Berg's expected points will be. They'll probably be near identical, right? And then you could go into next week with Trent still on your team.
Yeah.
And also, you have
he's
two
back
free
to
transfers, and
playing.
there could be injuries, there could be bans, and then you have a lot more flex. Like, then you could be like, okay, I don't need to save money. I'll go for Saliba and go double Arsenal defense. Or you could be like, okay, I need to free up a hell of a lot of cash because there's a another option that I've got that's screaming out at me. Therefore, I'll go. Mbumo's injured. I'll go Lewis Hall in, and then Mbumo can go to Saka. So I would probably lean towards rolling and having that flex.
No, I get that.
Do you know what
No
I'm
other
saying? Like,
support
because
for.
I
Yeah,
agree
yeah.
long term he's a better option, but this week doesn't seem like you're gaining
The week to
much.
do it.
This is more
Yeah, no, I
information.
get that. I get that. I do, and it's
And Vandenberg is
this week.
he's
This
getting
week,
some, he could have got an assist last week, right? So I know they're conceding just loads of goals, but he's kind of getting some attacking involvement.
if I play him, I want a 0-0, really, don't I? Because I've got Mikalenko on the pitch. Um, so yeah, no, I can see your point. I can see your point. What this would be ideal for is the all-out attack chip, if that still existed.
Yeah,
Then I'd just play
yeah.
Semenyo. It'd be great.
I
Shame that
mean,
doesn't exist. But no, I get your point. I really do. It's
yeah.
what I need to wait for there is the presses tomorrow because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ambers as well. Sorry, 4 yellows and then Trent as an amber. But as I say, I think there'll probably be some international injuries in that. So likelihood is they'll probably be okay. But no, I do. I completely
I
get your
mean,
point.
to back that point up, right? I just looked on a predictor site in terms of like predicting points. It had Nori at 2.4 expected points, Vandenberg at 2.8 expected points.
Higher. What's Aina out of interest? I'm not playing Aina, by the way.
No,
Away at Arsenal.
I mean
Although he kept a clean sheet at Anfield, just to say.
he'd be
I think he only conceded 1 at Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken. So Forest on the road do pretty well, in all fairness.
yeah. Let me just find him now.
But yeah, once you find it, just for those listening rather than watching, I've got Edison in net. I'm over to Tottenham, Mikalenko, Trent, who will not be Trent, maybe Van der Berg, maybe somebody else that I bring in the defence alongside Gabriel, Palmer, Rogers, Bruno Fernandes, and then Boomer in the mid, and then Cunha, Haaland, Wissa. I'm likely going to captain Haaland. I'd consider him Boomer and Bruno, but it'll be Haaland.
Not Palmer.
But yeah, go on. Yeah, I'd say you'll see even my vice captaincy's on Bruno. I've not
Yeah,
considered Palmer. I've got something in my head about last season. Palmer didn't score points on the road, and I
did he
haven't
not?
looked this season properly. But last season he got all his points at Stamford
No,
Bridge.
no.
I'm
I'll
gonna
have a
look
look at that.
now. Yeah, I'm
I'll
gonna
have a look
look
at that.
now. Just to what was Aina's points out of interest
1.4.
as expected?
1.4.
Oh, okay, yeah, sack that off.
Um,
So,
but
uh,
honestly, I reckon like Nori is better than Vandenberg long term, but this week is very close. And I think if you look at clean sheet odds and stuff like that, it would favour a Brentford defender. So, I mean, I think you're wasting a transfer.
I get it. I completely
You
get
might
it.
bring in Nori next week, but it'll be a more surefire thing, and you could do it as part of 2 free transfers. You,
I've just got
you don't need to make this
Palmer
move.
off. Yeah. No, I get it. I completely get it, and I do like the idea of rolling and having that second free. Palmer on the road, Man United nothing, Liverpool nothing, not easy places to go. West Ham he got a goal, Bournemouth nothing. His first away game this season was Wolves. Do you remember what happened?
4, wasn't it?
Goal and 3 assists.
Yeah.
So he did pretty well in that game.
So,
But
how does that theory? How does your theory work then?
so 12 returns this season in
Yeah,
total, 5 on the road. So this season it's pretty 50-50.
yeah.
And it is Leicester. I'll probably end up on Haaland, mate.
Yeah, it's a tight one. It's a tight one for me. It's between Haaland and Palmer. But yeah, I think you ain't Norris move, but I reckon if you're going
It
if
can
you're
wait.
Saliba, I get it, but like yeah, it's not needed, mate. Just like lots of things can
Wait for
happen in a
week.
week.
Okay, I get that. So either bring in a long-standing, solid defender.
No, just bring someone who's an upgrade
Or
of
wait.
who you can start.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Nori this week is
Get
not an
that.
upgrade of Vandenberg.
No, he's not. And this is why you're here, Matt. This is
What
why
should he
you're
get
here,
an
and this
assist?
is
Like,
why.
that's gonna be quite a random thing if he got an assist or a goal, right? Like you said it
Yeah,
yourself, Fulham are the 3rd best defence.
Yeah.
Very good attack as
It's
well.
very unlikely. A good attack. No, absolutely. This is why I'm going to get a top 5k finish, pal. This advice. So
I've gone
pressure.
I've gone in with so much conviction as well because I know what's going to happen.
What ain't Norrie's going to score?
Yeah.
But your logic sounds. That's all. That's all you can ask. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah,
But
be
yeah,
true to
we'll.
yourself.
Yeah, I've been doing that a bit in the recent weeks, and it's working. But I get your point. I wouldn't be comfortable playing either of them. So I get your point. Having the power of having that extra free
He's a
transfers
pretty
into the
rubbish
game week.
player, isn't he? For a pretty rubbish team, as is Vandenberg.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I get it. I completely
Fulham
do.
are a lot better than Everton.
Well, yeah, I'll just hope that's a 0-0 because if I'll probably end up benching Whistler anyway. So I'll go into that game thinking, 0-0 will be perfect. Although then it means Pickford will get about 27 points that he
Yeah.
seems to be picking up all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
yeah.
But I appreciate the vice, Paul. And that brings us to the end. So good to be back, eh?
It is
And
indeed.
the
It
good
is indeed.
news, no more international breaks until February.
Whew. Long slog now.
Long slog. And we're soon going to get into the term of having to do 2 a week. That's coming. That's not too far down the line. So we'll have to work our diaries out. But yeah, we'll hopefully catch up. I'm in London for a bit next week, mate, but I should be about for the back end of the week, so we'll try and get something out, no doubt. But yeah, happy to be
Yeah.
back. Happy that you're one of these players that hates the international breaks, and it's good to just get on with it now until February comes around.
Depends if I'm doing well or not. I think if I'm struggling, the international breaks are like a welcome distraction. Then you can just like decompress and forget about it. When you got a bit of a momentum, though, it's like really frustrating. If I was you with that score, I'd be like, oh, I just
Fuming,
want the next one to come tomorrow.
fuming, fuming that it was that it was a stop. But yeah, it's the slog time to get into the top. I'll set my sights on 300k. That's what I'll set my sights on. Keep building. But yeah, good to be back, mate. Thanks for joining us as always, and yeah, no doubt we'll pick up with you. We'll pick up with you next week and see how our game week 12s have gone and plan ahead. I've also not forgot I need to captain a defender in game week 19. Keep me honest. Make sure I
Well,
do it.
let's see where you're at rank wise. Because,
If I'm doing all right, you'll let me off.
like, you could have Trent out for a long term injury, so it's going to be end up with
Yeah.
Gabriel captain, 8 Norrie captaincy. Yeah, let's see if you're doing all right.
He'll get a brace against Fulham. My defense seems garbage. Can I get out of interest? Can I captain a keeper instead?
You go for Edison for his
Not that I'm going in.
annual assist.
Yeah, so 9.9. Then he'll get a bonus. 11 points for Edison. Penalty save 16. Adds up quickly. But we'll cover that when we get to it.
Exactly. But I wish you all the best this week. And like, remember, last time you brought in a person for 3 attacking returns. So, yeah.
True. And I give them the armband, which means I'll bring
So back
Nori in and
yourself.
give him the armband. Genius. But yeah, cheers, mate. Catch you next week. And thank you to you for joining us or listening, whenever you've got us on YouTube or you've got us on Spotify. Appreciate you joining us. Hopefully it's been useful. If it has, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. It does help us out. It means other people can find us as well. But until we catch you next week, may your arrows be green, and we'll see you on the other side.